In terms of deep and philosophical films, I'm not exactly your go-to guy when it comes to film analyzation. I'm what the Spanish might call a mogolico. I don't know what that means, but they call me that very often. Midsummer, this one is about dressing up in your favorite bear costume. Ex Machina, I saw this one with Steven Tyler, fun fact. I believe this is the one where you try to have sex with robots. Spider-Man 3 is about becoming the best jazz dancer possible. Now dig on this. And The Lighthouse, I saw this one. It's kind of like Hell's Kitchen, but in the 1900s.
You don't like me cooking?
Oh, don't be such an old bitch!
You're drunk. You don't know what you're talking.
How can I possibly like the horse shit you fix us for supper?
You're drunk. You won't be saying that.
In the kitchen.
So, you get what I mean when I say a lot of this abstract stuff just goes right over my head. Like, I don't really pick up on it. And that's why I felt motivated to make this video, because I saw a movie and it had a lot of abstract imagery and had a few philosophical themes. And when I walked out of the movie, I was a bit puzzled, but the more I spent thinking about the movie and putting the puzzle pieces together, the more I started to understand it, and the film I am talking about is The Green Knight, starring Dev Patel. So the film is basically about this guy, Gawain, and he is the nephew to the great King Arthur. And yes, it is the guy that pulled the sword out of the stone. So, Gawain, he doesn't exactly have a lot to live up to, you know. No pressure, no pressure. And as our young protagonist sits with his uncle on a fine Christmas afternoon, his uncle, the great King Arthur, asks Gawain to tell a tale. Gawain is kind of shocked by this request and basically says, "Yeah, Unc, I don't know if you know this, but my life has been kind of boring." And not just that, but you're sitting at the Knights of the Round Table. There are literally legends sitting all around you, and you asked me to tell a tale? You freaking serious? And as Gawain is explaining this to his uncle, a creature on a horse bursts into the castle claiming that he wants to play a game. The creature refers to himself as the Green Knight, and this Green Knight claims that anyone sitting at the table can take a swing at him. And whether it be a brush or a blow, and I feel like those instructions are pretty important, the person that swings at the Green Knight will have to travel to the Green Chapel in exactly 1 year to meet with the Green Knight. And when they meet, the Green Knight will return the blow. Or brush. Thus, ending the game. And Gawain kinda gets a little bit cocky. He's like, yeah, I'll do it. If I chop off this Green Knight's head, he won't be able to return the blow in exactly 1 year. And he does just that. He takes up his uncle's sword, Excalibur, and in one fell swoop, Gawain chops off the Green Knight's head. And that's it. That's the end of the movie. Yeah. But then, the Green Knight picks up his head off of the floor and says,
1 year hence.
And I am just sitting in my chair like, I am ready for whatever this movie has to offer. And before I get into it, I know what you're thinking. The game states that whoever swings at the Green Knight has to venture out to the Green Chapel in exactly 1 year so that the Green Knight can return the blow. But does the knight that swings have to go on this adventure? Can he not just stay at home? And yeah, maybe, but I also feel like if you make a deal with a giant mystical monster-like tree that can survive without a head, probably you should live up to your word. I don't know. I haven't really done this before, but that's just what I would do. And not just that, but throughout Gawain's adventure, because he does venture out to go to the Green Chapel, he's asked many times why he's going on this quest. And if Gawain's motivation is to live up to his uncle's standards, then that means he has to be a knight. And what is a knight if not honorable? And Gawain wouldn't be the honorable person in this situation if he didn't live up to his word. So a year passes, and 1 week before Christmas hits once again, our young protagonist Gawain sets out on an adventure to meet the Green Knight at the Green Chapel. And I hope you enjoyed that explanation of the Green Knight, because I am about to spoil the ever-living rag his shit out of this movie. But before you go, it is a very high recommendation from me, so I would definitely recommend you go out and see it. Please go support this movie if you're into that weirdo shit. So yeah, the Green Knight is actually a book or a short story or something like that, and it was originally written by we don't actually know, and I'm not just saying that because I'm a dumbass. Like, as far as I know, the author of The Green Knight is completely anonymous. And actually, a fun fact about the original story, it was found in a house that had been completely burnt to ash, and the only remaining item was this story. And I feel like it's really important to talk about the original story before getting into the film, because the film not only deviates a lot from the original source material, but also adds to it quite a bit. The original tale of the Green Knight is actually kinda simple. Gawain chops off the Green Knight's head. 1 year later, he ventures out to the Green Chapel. But just before he can make it to the chapel, he comes across a huge mansion owned by a lord that loves to hunt. This lord invites him in to stay and ends up making a deal with Gawain. The lord says that he will hunt every morning, and on each day he will bring Gawain his best catch. But every day, Gawain has to give the lord whatever he finds in the mansion. And Gawain is like, Dude, you live here. You own everything. What could I possibly give you? But what Gawain doesn't know is that the Lord has a wife, and she likes to give Gawain lots of kisses. And so, because of this, Gawain comes to a new conclusion.
I like men now!
Gawain isn't gay, but since the Lord's wife kissed him, he now has to return the favor of kissing the Lord. Because remember, everything that Gawain obtains inside the mansion has to be given to the Lord, because the Lord is giving Gawain his best hunt every day. But here's where the story gets interesting. On the last day of Gawain's stay at the mansion, the Lord's wife gives Gawain a relic. And as long as he wears this relic, no man or creature will be able to strike him down. And for some reason, Gawain was cool to make out with the hunter, but he neglects to tell him that he's keeping the relic for himself, because if Gawain keeps the relic, he might be able to survive the strike that the Green Knight is eventually going to give him. So when Gawain leaves the mansion without giving the relic to the Lord, he finally makes his way to the Green Chapel. He meets up with the Green Knight, who asks Gawain if he's ready for his slash, and Gawain is like, yeah, I guess. Knowing that he should probably be safe as long as he has the relic attached to his clothing. But then, the Green Knight reveals himself to be none other than the Lord of the mansion and reminds Gawain that because he kept the relic, he didn't live up to the deal. Gawain, yeah, maybe gave the Lord a lot of kisses and maybe some other stuff, but he neglected to tell him about the relic that the Lord's wife gave him. And that's the story, you know? It's this simple, nice little, sometimes gayish tale about being an honest person. The movie is nothing like that. The Green Knight film adaptation dives into so many more themes about friendship, manhood, fatherhood, chastity, abuse, sex abuse, being honorable, and so many more, and it comments on a lot of these at the same time. Like I said, the Green Knight film adaptation deviates from the original story quite a bit. For example, Gawain doesn't receive the relic from the Lord's wife, he actually receives it from his mother, who also summoned the Green Knight at the beginning of the film, and it's never explained why. But if you really pay attention to the entire story, the reason that his mother summoned the Green Knight is actually answered throughout the entire film. Throughout the film, Gawain is constantly being tested on the 5 virtues of knighthood, and he miserably fails at each of these. Disregarding commoners, bribing rewards for his courtesy, breaking off friendships, pleasing himself instead of putting the king or God before him, and lastly, letting the Lord's wife give him a breakfast. Handy, Sir Gawain, you dog. The film is trying to show you that Gawain is not worthy to be a knight, and much less a king. So, by the time he makes it to the Green Chapel, we don't see this young, bright-eyed protagonist in the same way that we did at the beginning of the film. At the beginning of the film, he was a character that wanted to make a name for himself, and now he just feels kind of icky. And it's actually the Green Knight who feels more honorable and humble. So when Gawain kneels to take a slash from the Green Knight, we feel that anxiety that he feels. He's going to die, and he's going to die a disappointment.
Are you ready?
Yes!
And there's a moment in the film where the Green Knight is about to take a swing at Gawain's neck, and Gawain quickly stands up and asks, like, is this it? Did I come all of this way and go through this entire journey just to get my head chopped off? And because that seems to be the case, Gawain immediately sprints out of the Green Chapel and heads straight home so that he can be safe once again, completely changing the ending of the original story. But we are not done yet. When Gawain returns to the castle, he's greeted with much praise and admiration for his courage. And shortly after the king's death, Gawain is given the throne for his bravery. Him and his lover have a son, but because his lover is a peasant, Gawain decides to marry royalty, keeping the son away from his biological mother. And for the rest of the film, we see this chain of events play out. Gawain becomes king, he has a son, his son grows with age and becomes a soldier, war breaks out, his son dies in battle, his country loses the war, his people begin to hate him, and then by the end of the film, Gawain is sitting alone on the throne while his own people storm the castle in an attempt to murder him. And before the people can enter the castle, Gawain removes the relic that has kept him alive for so long, because now he is ready to die. And so why now? Why is Gawain ready to die now, but was so fearful to die at the hand of the Green Knight? I don't think that's the question that the director of the film is trying to ask, but it's one that really interested me. We are seeing someone who was a disappointment and feared dying a disappointment now wants to die, because everything he attained was handed to him, and he never earned it. He never lived an honorable life. And right before Gawain is murdered by his own people, we flash back to him kneeling in front of the Green Knight, knowing what his life will become if he escapes his fate. Gawain removes the relic, tells the Green Knight he's ready for his slash, and scene. Absolutely one of the best endings to a film I have seen in a long time. And it's an ending that doesn't tell you everything. The film doesn't tell you if Gawain lives or dies, and it doesn't ever tell you why Gawain's mother summoned the Green Knight in the first place. But if you really think about it, Gawain's mother summoned the Green Knight to ensure that he would become king. Because if he had the relic, he would survive the encounter with the Green Knight. And if he survived the encounter, then his uncle, the great King Arthur, would see him worthy to become king. And all of these things that felt very unanswered about the film slowly started to reveal themselves. I walked out of the film feeling like it was okay. It had a lot of abstract imagery and some philosophical things and some really good themes, but I didn't love it until I really started to think about the film. What was the director trying to say? And there is a lot that he's trying to say, I think. I don't know how to end this video, but I've been recording for a really, really long time, so I'm just going to cut it here. I love talking about this movie. I love looking at the deeper elements of the film, and if you saw the movie and you have something you want to say, if you think you have a different interpretation of this movie, I would really love to hear it. Thank you guys for watching. I am really tired. I'm gonna sleep a lot tonight, but yeah, goodbye.
I say, mate.
You're fond of me lobster.